Hey guys, I'm Andrea, and welcome to episode 13 of Careers Are Weird. Guys, I love talking about careers with you, and I love knowing what you do for work and where your passions lie. And you know what someone said to me after last week? They're like, oh my God, you finally had a male guest. And I'm like, yes, of course. Like, men have careers too. They're just as weird and they need to be talked about as well. So, guess what? We've got another male guest on today who's on a wildly different career path. I've got Darien Nairne-Powell with me today. He's only 29 years old, but somehow has 13 years of work experience. As far as I knew, he was creative director for a graphic design company, and he's been designing party flyers since high school. But I did a good old LinkedIn lookup and realized he's also employed at our local university, the University of the West Indies in Jamaica. But you know what? I'm not even surprised because careers are weird and we're way too young to only be doing one thing. Darien, hello. How are you?
Oh, hey, Angel. I'm great. I hope you are as well. I'm just happy to be here. It's an honor to be the second male guest. Yeah.
I'm super excited to talk to you. There's so many fancy words and acronyms on your LinkedIn like UX and UI, and you've just done a whole bunch of courses. So yeah, let's just unpack a career in design and creativity. And to listeners, let's just set the scene. Darren's got two roles, and let's call them his 9 to 5 and his 5 to 9 for argument's sake. We'll start with the 9 to 5 and work our way to your company that you run after your day job's done. So, for starters, what is your current job title?
My current job title at the University of the West Indies, regional headquarters in the Office of the Chief Information Officer, is the Systems Analyst.
So, what does that actually mean? Like, what does that role do?
So, that role entails analyzing like design techniques and solving problems. So, for example, departments would come like they would need a website, for example. They want to showcase this, they want to present this to, let's say, students or other staff across the university. How can they do this? So I'm in charge of designing that website. So I use my design techniques to bring across this information now that they want to put to their audience, whether it be students or staff.
Okay, so that's like, then let's use economics. So, that's my background. That's like the head of the economics department would approach your team to basically say, listen, we need to put out update the course curriculum for the economics undergraduate program, and we need to have a sub page that's like macroeconomics, microeconomics, behavioral economics. Would you then do the design for like those sub pages under it?
Right, correct. Not only does it have to look good, but the user experience has to be good as well. Because if persons don't enjoy interacting with this information, then they'll never interact with it at all.
Fair enough. You don't want an old looking 2003 Windows kind of PC looking vibe, like when the computer monitor had the whole big back, like the back of the TV.
Yeah, correct.
So then that's a really interesting role. You design the websites based off of a brief that you get, but I imagine websites don't just happen in the snap of a finger. So then what's a day in the life of this role?
So we would meet with clients, and clients meaning these other departments or other departments or other,
Faculties, maybe?
well, I don't want to say faculties, but departments within UA. So, and this can be any cross campus. So it doesn't have to be within the building that I'm at, which is the regional headquarters. It can be on Mona, it can be anywhere. So we'd meet with them. So they are the clients. We listen to what they want or what they're trying to achieve. And then now that is noted. And then we try to do it in a reasonable amount of time. But as usual, when these persons come to us, it's like they needed it yesterday. So unfortunately, we don't get to properly plan and everything feels rushed and we just have to make it work.
Okay, so is this like just like a big brainstorming session where they come in and basically say, this is what we want, and then you guys kind of just like map it out on like, let's say a whiteboard, and then we decide like what elements to keep and throw away?
Right. Not much of the white, well, we wouldn't use the whiteboard that much. But yeah, we would look at the scope document and look at what we feel like isn't really needed or it's a bit repetitive, because that can happen where persons want, let's say, four interactive tiles with four different things, but then at the same time, when you scroll down, two of those things are on the same homepage. It wouldn't make sense. Just remove two, keep two, right. Yeah.
That's really interesting. So then talk me through this. What did you study to end up in this type of role?
Well, originally I got into UA for computer science. I started with computer science for the first 2 years. I really didn't like it. When I looked at my friends who were studying computer science, I mean, what they were doing was completely different from what I was doing, and it was a bit more interactive. It was more interesting to be honest. And I grew not liking it. And because of that, I mean, the passion and the drive wasn't there like how I'd want. I mean, yes, I did want to do something specific in it. I love computer science. I love the area, right? But to do what I want to do specifically, I have to do everything. And just the way that information comes across to us as students, I really didn't like it. But at the same time, while I was doing that, I did some courses in business, and I mean, I realized that I've always had a passion for business, and I made the switch to management studies, and literally the day I made that switch, I never looked back. It just felt I could interact more with my managers and supervisors in my department. Like I could understand the lingo. I can say, oh damn, I'm learning that in class right now. When I was in computer science, I didn't feel that way. So it just became natural. So
So
yeah, and yeah, no.
so you said that when you're doing the management studies, you're able to interact with your department. Were you already working? Were you working part-time whilst you were studying?
Right. Oh yes. So when I was doing computer science, I got an internship at the department I'm at now. So that is how I got into it.
Oh wow. So
Um,
how long have you been in this role?
well, this current position, system analyst, I mean, it's going to be a year now, but before that, I was in another position. So before that, I was a information technologist. And then before that, I was just a IT intern,
Okay, but all in the same place.
all in the same place, same department.
Oh, okay, cool. So I just want to break that in just to kind of understand where you were working whilst you're studying. So you got when you were studying computer science in the first part of your degree, you got this internship. So tell me about the internship.
They normally take on students, and because funny enough, they were looking for somebody not also with IT skills, but somebody who had a knowledge in like graphics, like graphic designing, and that is how my name came up and was recommended to the head of the department. And yeah, the rest is history. I got the interview, went on the interview, I made an impression, and yeah, here I am now.
So you had a background in graphic design, but
Mhm.
then you still chose to go to university for computer science instead of continuing like just getting a degree in graphic design? How comes?
Um, well, I originally I wanted to be an architect. Um, but then I was told that by some old person that architects don't make that much money anymore. I fail to disagree, but anyways, I mean I was young. And IT is the new thing. IT is gonna be the future. So I ended up choosing subjects. Like I did go to sixth form, even though you don't have to do that to do architecture. But I did go to sixth form, so I ended up choosing subjects that would either at the end of it, I could decide where I want to go, whether it be IT or architecture. Yeah, as you can see, IT one. So mhm. And I mean, I'm glad I made the choice because I mean, where we are now, because I mean, you would use IT in the architecture field because everything you don't people rarely draw anymore, if at all. Everything's done on the computer. So yeah.
Oh, so there's still scope to switch. Are you learning AutoCAD in the background?
No, I've never used AutoCAD before.
Just, keep the architecture dream alive.
Yeah, I mean, I can see myself doing 3D modeling. I actually got my current laptop to venture out into 3D modeling one of these days. But now I'm more into UX and UI at this point. But who knows? Maybe I might take up the 3D as a side thing. Who knows?
And what's just for all of our listeners, what's UX and UI?
So UX and UI, UX is user experience and UI is the user interface. Um, I've been doing some courses in that, and UX is more of the so how somebody interacts with your website. That's really what UX entails, the interaction for the user and how they use the website or application, while the UI is, for example, well, the UI is for, the pretty stuff, like how it looks and stuff like that. So in theory, I mean, a graphic designer, if you have graphic designing skills, UI will be easy for you because you can make things look pretty. While the UX part, it has to make sense. Like design choice that you do make with a site has to make sense because, why this is placed here on the website up the top versus why it's not at the bottom, that is where that knowledge comes to play
So
or comes.
UX is like where you click through the stuff then.
Yeah, you would click a particular button, you would see, let's say, why certain colors are used. So when you click it, it turns a certain color. Or when you're given options, why this is red. This is red because this is, either cancel or to X something. Red means wrong. While another color, whether it be blue, means yes, okay. You're doing like a positive interaction on this window and stuff like that. And yeah, like I said, the placement is the mhm.
Oh, and you're an expert in UX and UI. Very cool.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I want to say I am, but I want to make sure that there's proof of this. So that's why I'm doing these certificates. So yeah.
And I love that because you need to continuously upskilling. I think there's so much benefit into doing more courses. I've even started doing some courses this weekend. So yay. So to kind of wrap up on this part about your 9 to 5, because I really want to talk to you about your 5 to 9. You've
Mhm.
managed to go from information technology intern to information technologist to systems analyst. So basically being in one company, very similar department area for like 7 years. What sort of role and position comes after systems analyst? Like what would be the next step there in that growth for you?
An IT officer. So you have IT officers, and then you have the senior IT officers. So a senior IT officer is like a manager, pretty much. Um, but it depends on the area that you want to go in. You can be the project manager, right? So that's another thing. So that really depends on the area that you want to go in. If you want to manage projects, if that's what you really want to zone in on, you can be the project manager. Um, yeah, but if you're gonna go strictly, let's say IT straight in the department, is IT officer, senior IT officer, and potentially the CIO if you really want to go for it.
Oh,
All that hard work and meetings back to back.
I mean, that's not for me, but hey, it might be for you. It depends on what you want to do after systems analyst.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Who knows?
CIO has a nice little ring to it, though, not gonna lie. It's being
Mm.
chief.
It does. It entails a lot of things, and obviously you have to interact with the hierarchy, if you could say. It's very political. It's a political role. Like any high level position, it's very political. Because you have to make sure that when you're making certain decisions, you're not too offensive to one side. You have to really be, what's the word?
Democratic.
Yeah, you can't favor one side.
Yeah. And you've just given me a really good idea for a future podcast episode, like talking about corporate politics, because that in itself is a whole topic in why careers are so weird. Corporate politics, we have to talk about that. So thanks for that idea. But
Okay.
no, that's really cool. And it's really important work that you do as a systems analyst because There is absolutely no business out there today. And honestly, there's some people who like everyone has their own websites at this point. And you're so right. Like me as a user, if I have to compare two companies to get a product and one company has a really outdated, ugly website, the first thing I think is it's a scam. So if it doesn't look good, if it doesn't have good UX or UI, so if it doesn't have all the cool stuff that you do, I'm gonna not even believe it's legit. So that's epic. That's really important work. So that's amazing. We talked about your 9 to 5 as a systems analyst. But at the intro of this episode, I talked about the fact that you're only 29, but somehow have 13 years of work experience. And that's because you have a company that you started back when you were, I guess, 16. Tell me about that company and what it does, because I thought you were a graphic designer, so it's news to me that you're actually in IT.
Right, yeah, it's crazy to think about it. When you say it out loud, I feel old.
You're 29, you're old. Your age starts with a 2.
For now, the way social media sets up this whole 30 thing where your back stats hurt you as you turn 30, this stat hurt you. I mean, I have friends who are 30 now, and if I ask them, yo, is this true? And some of them actually say yes. But I'm about to find out in October. But yeah, so it started out as a hobby at first until eventually, got my first client in fifth form. So I started it in fourth form, that is February 1, 2011.
And just for the listeners overseas, fourth form is grade 10 in Jamaica and fifth form is grade 11.
So and then yeah, I got my first client in 2012, right before graduating. It was for a medical practice, and till this day they actually have the same logo. I saw one of the owners, not sure if it was Price Smart or wherever, and yeah, the company shirt, they still have the logo. I'm surprised. I mean, it's not like it's a bad logo, but for them to have it for so long, because normally companies rebrand after some time, it shows that, well,
It's if it's not broke, don't fix it. So your logo was not broke. Period.
so I mean, so yes, I started that. So it started out as a hobby, eventually got monetized. More persons started to I started to get more recognition, and then I registered it in 2016. So it became official in 2016. Yes, so I've been building brands. So it's not just party flyers. Yes, it started out, well, technically it didn't start out like that. If you think about it, it starts off with that logo. So but mainly it was party flyers. And then I got more into brand development. So developing brands, dealing with how people or clients see them. So their logos, letterheads, banners and flyers for companies. And yeah, so I get to work with different types of persons, all walks of life. I don't discriminate. I get along very well with people, no matter their age group. No matter, yeah, no matter their age group, and it really that kind of bleeds into or seeps into my 9 to 5. A lot of people like to interact with me, even though some persons have that young look, so I do look younger than I am. But when they hear me talk, they just enjoy, like they can't believe that somebody my age, however young they want to see me, they can have an actual interesting conversation with somebody. And so if they have any issues, they would call on to me. Not because they like to talk to me, obviously, but because I know what I'm doing. But still, like, they get that as well. It's like a little bonus, you
Yeah.
know? And yeah, customer service is everything actually.
Yeah.
Even with getting promoted, going back to 9 to 5, a lot of persons gave feedback on that. I have great customer service. I am I can communicate with persons very well. They love that, and that is very rare coming from, especially in this generation right now. It's like they find it hard to communicate with younger persons or certain persons these days. But yeah, so I developed that skill with my 5 to 9 and brought it over.
Yeah. We're gonna have to wind up. We're gonna have to rewind this a little bit though, because in all of this, you know what you haven't done, Darren? You have not
Well,
told the people the name of your company and what your company does.
oh,
So you're gonna have to give me the 30-second pitch. This is my company and we do this. Go.
all right. So the company's name is DRESIGNS. Started it in 2011. As I mentioned, officially got it registered in 2016. So it deals with brand development and marketing for local and international brands as well. We take pride in your brand and how we can reach your clientele. So one thing with me is I treat my clients' work or project as if it was my own. So any decision that I make with a client's brand, it's something that I would do myself if I owned this company. And a lot of persons, they appreciate that. So they don't feel like it's like a quick cash grab, like, oh, this guy just doing whatever thing can hurt me. Like, no, anything that I decide to do, like if I say, okay, I'm gonna put this here or whatever, it is for a good cause or a very good reason. And you have some clients who understand that and appreciate that. So they just leave me to do whatever I want. Which I do appreciate. So those are people who see your value and for that, I just love working with those kind of people. I appreciate persons like that.
Mhm.
It makes me enjoy what I do. Honestly, it really does. Because you have the persons who just,
They just want a quick and fast throw a logo on something and give it to me. They don't really want a whole anything behind it.
no, it's not really, it's not that, but like they challenge you on why you do certain things. And I'm just like, you pay me as the quote unquote expert to do X. If you're going to tell me how to do it, then well, obviously I can't tell him to do it because they obviously can't do it. I mean, because I take feedback. So, but I mean, if we can have a discussion and I can tell you why it can't work or why it can, because I mean, I do take certain feedback and I do implement it. But if certain things just can't work, it just can't work. And you have those persons who understand, like, oh yeah, you're true. Like that's true. Like when I explain to them, like, oh yeah, you're right. We have some persons who really want something done, and at that point, it just makes me say, "Oh, all right, I'm just gonna do whatever they want." And unfortunately, I have to disown that project, so I won't either post it up or whatever because at that point, it's not how I envisioned it, and it just looks so generic, like everything else that is out there. Unfortunately, and I don't want. I'm trying to stand out. So if I'm gonna do the same thing that everybody else is doing, well,
Yeah. See, they
well,
don't that type of client doesn't become a case study client. Fair.
no, they really don't.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it makes me not want to really work with them again because if I'm not enjoying working on your project, then you're not gonna get the best out of me. Honestly, you're not.
Yeah, and you need the creative freedom. You are a creative. Like that's exactly why you're a creative. So you said something interesting in there that I'm really curious about. You started this company when you're 16, and then you also mentioned that you have local and international clients. So how did you go about getting international clients?
Well, funny enough, how I get all of my clients, I don't post ads. So everything is really word of mouth. So it's word of mouth, and that is because person's experience says with Dre Science is just very good. So they just have to tell a friend, and the friend tells a friend, and it just that's how I get all my clients. It's strictly word of mouth, and it goes back to the customer service. Once you treat persons with respect, they will have no issues working with you again. They'll always recommend it to somebody who needs something like, oh, you need a logo? I know just the guy. And then I get a message saying, yo, I'm sending somebody your way. And yeah, so that's how I get my international clients as well. You know, it's a small world, globalization. People know people from all over the place. So all it takes is just one person to need something that I can provide. And yeah, cycle continues.
That's amazing. No, I'm really happy for you because being able to build something from scratch as a teenager all the way up through your 20s, but not only grow it within the borders of your country, but grow it internationally. That's no easy feat. That's really, really that's hard work. So honestly, big ups to you. Like, pop your own collar for that because you did that. Straight up, you did that. That's epic.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do. And it's not only did I do this or start this because I liked it and I realized that because I loved art from prep school, but because I'm from a single parent home. So I grew up like if I want something, I have to go and get it. So I have to work for it. So I was never the type of child to see something in the supermarket or see something somewhere and because my mom said no, I'm gonna cry and be like, until I get it. Like, no, I'm not, I was never that child. So I either take the no, or because I know of the situation, I don't bother ask. I just do whatever I had to do, which is start this company. And yeah, so everything that I have right now, I've worked hard for it. And then yeah, I just grew up understanding the situation that we're living in. So I had to put in the work. That was my driving force.
And that's just a testament to the fact that all of our unique upbringings shape our own world and they shape our path so much more. And everyone has their own motivations and the things that teach them the discipline to do what they do. So it's just your lived experience, and it's just one of those things that you build on. You either use it as an excuse or you use it as a stepping stone or even a springboard. So good for you. That's really cool, man. And just to wrap up this episode, I think this is the last thing I'd want to touch on is you've got two good careers going for you. You've got systems analyst at the University of the West Indies, and you've got DRESIGNS, and you're creative director for that. You like what you do, UX UI systems with the systems analyst role. You like what you do when it comes to DRESIGNS and building brands and whatever it is that you guys do. As you get older, sometimes these paths will diverge more. Would you ever pick one over the other?
No, I can't see myself picking one over the other, even though I am going more into the UI or the UX space, because that's just another branch of design. That's like I would say is a more mature role in the design space, right? I think companies internationally would favor a UX/UI designer as opposed to a graphic designer. I am branching out into that. So yes, I'm a system analyst for my 9 to 5, but right now with the certifications that I'm doing and the ones that I'm about to do, I want to be recognized as a UI/UX designer, or AKA a product designer. Who knows, maybe a product manager. So I'll be able to put that on LinkedIn and try and see if I can get clients that way as well and work with more international companies. I wouldn't do that under DRESIGNS though. I'll probably start a new company with that. But I'm now taking the two and just making them work together at this point.
You don't have to make a decision now. I mean, like I said, you're still in your 20s. You can do as you please with your career. You can keep it as weird and non-linear as you want because why not? Literally, why not? But no, that's super, super cool. I'm really enjoy talking to you and kind of just learning more about what goes behind all these websites that some of us are so quick to judge and be like, that's ugly, that doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. But then actually the amount of work that goes into making the good ones, like the ones that you do, stand out. So I think I understand a lot more about the IT side behind the designs, but also the designs are still pretty cool. And I do love that. So thank you very, very much for joining us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, so what I will do, I will link up everything for DRESIGNS, your LinkedIn, your Instagram pages, and just make sure people know how to get in touch with you because, hey, this is also word of mouth. Your next UI, UX, design, product manager, design project could even come out of this podcast and you never even know. So I'll link all of that up in the show notes.
Thank you.
Guys, this was Darren. This was another episode of Careers Are Weird. Fill out the submission form. If you've got questions for the guest, if you've got questions that you want answered on the podcast, if you've got stories to share, or just general feedback for the show, go to the submission form and just let it all out. Just let me know. I'm here for anything you have to say. Until next Wednesday, guys, stay weird and stay ambitious, my friends.